kind enough to be with us. Again, former Scientologist. And when we get these opportunities now, because I personally believe how damaging Scientology is, we must take these chances to have folks like this on the show. I'm going to read you just a quick email, and I can't go in all of it, but it says, please don't use my email address or name on the air. My son is disconnected from me since the late 1990s. He and his wife now have a little boy. I've never seen a picture of him or gotten any information about him from my son. He is, of course, in Scientology.
Wow. Well, something that I'd really like to make a point about as well, though, I've gotten a few letters from Scientologists who have said, stop attacking my religion. This is my religion.
And crazy stuff. I'm stuck with this. My understanding of the methods that the church has employed in the past. If you want to quit being Jewish or quit being practicing Hebrew or quit the Catholic Church or walk away from some Protestant denomination, Episcopalian, Methodist, they don't chase you down the street.
Right.
It's like, game's over. See ya. Thank you. I'm not coming back. Okay, have a good day.
Exactly. Well, the really interesting thing to note as well is that, a lot of Scientology spokespeople go on the air and say, disconnection doesn't exist.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. But, it's written down in their own policy that disconnection exists. And if they're backed into a corner on the issue, what they usually say about it then is, well, every religion has a right to protect itself from bad people. And that's true, and that's absolutely true. But the point is that these kids aren't, stealing their parents' credit cards, taking everything out of their bank account, and buying heroin. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
All they want to do is leave.
They're just disagreeing.
The other part of this is the methods chosen to do that.
Yeah.
And there's a wonderful book. I actually met this guy years and years ago. The book was entitled Crazy for God. And if you ever get a chance to read it or see it, I think you'd really relate to it. There's a guy, he went in the Moonies.
Oh.
And then was kidnapped and deprogrammed.
Right.
Long story short, he talked about something called divine deception. In the Moons, that you could tell anybody anything you wanted outside of the church. So when you were hustling the flower scam or doing the book deals or whatever it was, you could lie and be allowed to lie because that was of the world and divine deception. And it's been a long time since I've read the book, but I remember those things sticking out. So you can put somebody from Scientology or any one of these, nutball outfits, and they can tell you anything they want to tell you, and it's perfectly okay.
Well, actually, that's written into Scientology doctrine. There's something very interesting in Scientology that doesn't get a lot of airtime, which is called fair game. Mm-hmm. That's a policy letter that was written by L. Ron Hubbard in 1967, and he basically, fair game is how he ordered his followers to deal with anybody who'd been declared an enemy of the church. And it says, and I quote, fair game may be deprived of property or injured by any means by any Scientologist without any discipline of the Scientologist, may be tricked, sued, lied to, or destroyed.
That's the green light, isn't it?
That's the green light. And, what's really interesting is if you bring that up to a Scientologist, what they'll tell you is that policy letter was canceled ages ago in 1968.
Is that true?
It is true, but listen to the wording of the cancellation letter.
Okay.
The practice of declaring people fair game will cease. Fair game may not appear on any ethics order. It causes bad public relations. This policy letter does not cancel any policy on the treatment or handling of an SP.
Oh, it's catch-22.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So what they basically canceled was the name fair game. They didn't actually cancel the practice of using this. And so, it continues today as evidenced by the fact that, we're getting threats over coming on the air and stuff like that.
The term WOG is used.
Right.
And WOG is back to the, quote, white man's burden when the British go into India and places like that. And they called non-white people WOGs. And I don't know if you knew that that's the term. What WOG really came from was in the great periods of imperialism that anybody sub-Saharan Africa, doesn't matter, India, Pakistan, you're a wog.
Right.
And so I'm a wog in the minds of the Scientologist if what I read is true.
Oh, that's true. A wog is sort of in Scientology, it sort of means somebody who's not a Scientologist.
Yeah,
It's a derogatory term for somebody who's not a Scientologist.
Well, it was a derogatory term for someone that wasn't white.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Or European.
I believe it.
No, it's honest to God. Swear to God it is. It's a wog.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I have heard that before. And that's something that's also fascinating about Scientology is that they have a language all their own. Hubbard and the church actually published 2 dictionaries worth of Scientology terminology for use by their own members, 2 big full-size dictionaries to explain all the Scientology terms. And I think that one of the more isolating aspects of being a Scientologist is the fact that you get so indoctrinated into all of this terminology that you actually can't communicate with people outside anymore because language defines how you express yourself.
Oh, you're on the inside, too.
Right, you're in there. And, when I was coming out, I've got this story. When I was coming out, I was talking to people, for the first time in my life, really, that weren't Scientologists. And I would say things to them that were perfectly clear to me, and they just kind of blink at me.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's nothing like looking at somebody and saying, "You believe what?"
Yeah.
You believe what?
And it's funny when I finally decided this is ridiculous. I've got to figure out what's English and what isn't. My friend and I sat down with the dictionary and we opened it up and we looked up every word that we weren't sure about. Is this word English or not? All these words that we weren't sure if they were actually in the English language, and it was very isolating for us coming out.
I've been fascinated by the Branch Davidians and read about the Davidians. And once you're able to establish that firewall that you can say, well, on the outside are these people, on the inside are us, and it's us against them. And oh boy, then you can begin to really work some people's heads.
Right. That's so true.
How much money do you think Scientology, the church, is worth?
Oh, hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
Absolutely hundreds of millions. And I mean, let's think about this. An individual member pays around, on average, I would say, $300,000, $400,000 to get to the top levels of the organization.
Wow.
It may be different for some people because a lot of the processes are paid for hourly, and some people finish very fast, and some people finish in 3 days, and it takes some people 10 years. So you can't really put an exact price tag on it, but I would say, you're talking each member slowly shelling out $400,000, and there's 50,000 members or whatever. It's a lot. It's a lot of money, and this is a tax-exempt organization.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely.
It's a tax-exempt organization that's run like a business, and the federal authorities are absolutely terrified to go in there and see what's happening to these kids and see, and investigate what's going on because it's a religion. And they're, and Scientologists are going, or the Scientology management rather is going, these are our religious beliefs. And so, you're not allowed to come in and investigate child abuse, child labor, and this kind of thing. And it's terrifying.
We will have you back. I think you're just tough as nails, and I have when somebody faces this stuff down, that's very, very cool. Very cool. And,
well, thank you.
You're a brave woman, and that's neat. And if anybody threatens you, for God's sake, call us.
Well, thank you so
I'm
much.
serious. I'm serious. I mean, you represent everything that's right about smart and brave people.
Wow, that's a very high compliment. Thank
but
you
it's
so
true.
much.
And the website is EX and then Scientology, SCIENTOLOGY, kids, all one word, right?
Yes, xscientologykids.com.
But it isn't just the letter X; it's EX, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. I'll talk to you again. Hey,
I hope so. I really appreciate you having me on.
True business. You're the deal. Thanks.
Thank you, Peter.
Be safe, Kendra.
You have a good day.
All right. Thanks, Kendra.